Right, we are live. I'm just waiting for a few people to get involved in the video, get onto the stream, and then we'll get cracking. It's weird when you can't see my face, actually. Give it a couple of minutes, and then we'll get straight into this really interesting topic, to be fair. How's it going, Ryan? We've got Will, George, Ben. Long time since we've done a live stream. We'll just give it a couple of minutes, guys, before we get cracking into this story and this video. If you just stick around, if you've just joined, make sure you do leave a comment in the chat. If you'd like to see more of these videos, got Corey as well. Good to see you guys. So today, we're going to be discussing: will Matty Longstaff join Watford or Udinese from Newcastle United, or if he does at all? We'll be discussing that in the video. We've got 9 people watching. If you are in the chat, or if you are watching, make sure you do leave your comments in the chat. We've got 13. Thank you very much for joining. We'll just give it a minute or so until we get going with the video, but thank you very much for joining. We've got Rudy. Rudy, how's it going, buddy? We've got Jezza. Very well, Jezza, thank you. Don't worry, my face will be appearing on the screen. My ugly mug will be on the screen very shortly. Just letting people join the chat. We'll give it another 30 seconds, and then we'll get straight into this really interesting topic surrounding Matty Longstaff and whether he'll be joining Watford. We've got 14 people in the chat. 40 people watching, rather. I'll be reading your comments as well. So if you want to let me know your thoughts in the chat while we get kind of crack into this topic, and do let me know, and I'll try and answer them as best as possible. And if you like the live streams, make sure you do leave a like and subscribe. Right, I think we'll start it there. 15 people watching. Thank you very much. If you could share the video as well. There we go. Hi guys, welcome back to WD18, the Watford fan channel. Welcome back to another live stream and another video. This time we've got the interesting topic surrounding Matty Longstaff. You might have heard me in the intro to the live stream when the picture was up, kind of evaluating my thoughts on this one, because it's a really intriguing matter with Matty Longstaff. Whether he's going to join Watford, whether he's going to join Udinese, or whether he's going to join or just stay at Newcastle United and sign a short-term extension, or join any of those, or for any of those scenarios to play out, he just joins another club. There's a lot of factors and there's a lot of options Matty Longstaff has. We'll run through those quickly. So he has the option to sign a short-term extension at Newcastle United. So his current deal expires on June the 30th, but FIFA and the Premier League have said that they are able to supply contracts that last to the end of the season, obviously due to the pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic, and he could stay at Newcastle United till the end of the Premier League season. That's option number one. At the moment, from what I understand, those talks have not actually happened. There's been no talks from Newcastle and Matty Longstaff about whether he will stay at the club till the end of the Premier League season. Option number 2 is Matty Longstaff can leave on a free transfer after June the 30th as it stands. Now, the interested parties, we've got Udinese, Inter Milan, Marseille. There's a number of clubs interested in Matty Longstaff. You've got to remember, he's a 20-year-old. He's got Premier League experience. He's scored against Manchester United. You can see the attraction for clubs for him. He's a central midfielder, can play deep and can play attacking as well. So it's an interesting one. And he's English, which is a massive factor. And we've seen with clubs, particularly with the quotas, English players are so sought after. And in this case, because he will be going on a free, this has attracted a lot of interest. And he's a good player from what I've seen. He's only played 7 times for Newcastle, but did score a goal against Manchester United and looks a bright prospect. He's a prospect at the end of the day. So far we've got a short-term extension at Newcastle. That hasn't been discussed yet. We've got another option, which is he joins another club, and Udinese look to be the front runners. And as we know, Udinese are owned by the Pozzo family, and the Pozzo family obviously own Watford too. Now, we've seen it in the past so many times before. I think since the Pozzos have been in 2012, it's been over 25 players have made the move from Udinese to Watford. I will be incredibly surprised if this move does go through from Matty Longstaff to Udinese that he doesn't end up in Watford. I will be unbelievably surprised if he doesn't make the move to Watford. The reason being is the proposed contract offer for Matty Longstaff is rumoured to be around £31,000. This is obviously a lot for a player. He's only played 7 times in the Premier League. He's played 7 times in the Premier League. Hasn't got a lot. He's got a bit of Premier League experience, but he's still a young player, and that is an extraordinary amount for a man who is actually on an £850 contract in Newcastle at the moment. With that sort of money, that's 30 times, almost 30 times what he's on at the moment, which is extraordinary when you think about it. So immediately he'd become, if let's just say he was to join Udinese, immediately he'd become the highest paid player at the club at Udinese. The second highest would be Rodrigo de Paul, who's on £26,000. So immediately, I cannot believe that they would allow that to happen. The Pozzos, that would mess up their system, paying that much money for a player who's got little experience. And actually, Watford's wage structure, of course, is a lot higher than that. We've got the likes of Troy's, I think, rumoured to be on around 100 grand a week. Don't hold me to that, but that's from what I was reading. So we've got players on bigger contracts of £30,000. I believe, and this is the situation I think at the moment, is Matty Longstaff has been offered the proposal from Udinese and the Pozzos that you sign for Udinese. We get the deal done. It says £30,000 a week, but actually it'd be £30,000 a week to Watford. He'd join on a free from Watford, and it would avoid Watford paying compensation to Newcastle United, because with English players, and as he is under 24, it would go to a tribunal. His compensation fee is £400,000 if he wasn't going to move to an English club. So if he moved to Udinese, Watford kind of escaped the middle part of the tribunal, and of course the Pozzos would sign him for Udinese, only have to pay £400,000, and then he'd move to Watford on loan or on a permanent basis, whatever sees fit. But that would avoid Watford having to pay millions to Newcastle United in compensation. So this is how I see the situation at the moment. Udinese have proposed, as I mentioned, proposed the deal to Matty Longstaff. Okay, we'll give you the offer of £30,000 a week, but you'll move to Watford from Udinese. I will be incredibly surprised, as I mentioned, that he will join the Udinese on a permanent basis if the deal does go through. That's my take on it. In terms of the other option, of course, he could sign a new long-term extension at Newcastle United. Came through the club's academy. He has said he said he'd be open to moving. But I think whether his preference is to stay at Newcastle, we'll have to wait and see. But certainly that's an avenue to look at as well. But let me know your thoughts. But I really am adamant that if this deal does go through with Matty Longstaff and Udinese, he will eventually move to Watford. Let me know what you think in the live chat below. Let's have a little read through what your guys' thoughts are. Lee HD Game says, I think we should get him. I agree. He's a bright prospect, and I think we've got to mention about Matty Longstaff is that it's worthwhile remembering that you've got to remember his age. Only 20 years of age, and Watford have been known recently to bringing in young English players, the likes of Ben Wilmot. The opportunities we've given him, and he hasn't played much first team football for Watford, but in terms of we've given him a loan out to Udinese, and that could be a potential idea as well for the Pozzos, that, you know what, we will send him to Udinese for a little bit, but then we'll bring him to Watford, or vice versa, we'll bring him to Watford and send him out to Udinese. That is the great thing about the Pozzo model and the Pozzo scouting network. It's rumoured, according to The Athletic, that Watford have actually been scouting him for over 18 months. So this isn't something that's just come out the blue. Watford have really looked at Matty Longstaff and gone, you know what, his contract's coming to an end this summer. Can we pick him up on a free? Can we escape paying a large tribunal fee and just paying that compensation fee and getting around it? And that's the great thing about the Pozzo system. Whether you agree with it or disagree with it, as a Watford fan, of course, we're going to agree with it. But other football fans potentially might disagree with it. I don't see the issue with it personally, of course. But going back onto the comment, it's worthwhile considering his age. He's only 20 years old. 7 appearances for Newcastle, 1 goal. It's not great, but it's still a start, and he's played at Premier League level, which is more than most youngsters at his age. Well, I say he's 20. We was 19 when he made the appearances. And the value. I mean, we're getting him on a free, £400,000, and that is why his wage and the offer of the wage of £30,000 is so high. is because he would be signed on a free or a snippet of what he'd actually be worth. So if everything does go to plan, I think it'd be a brilliant bit of business for Watford. It really would be, and Udinese as well. And the whole Pozzo network, and it highlights again how clever the Pozzos are with this system. And this is providing the deal does go through. I haven't received an update or read an update about the situation yet, since the kind of news broke from Sky Sports. But I think Newcastle fans are going to assume that he'd move to Udinese. I really do not believe that is the case, and I think he would end up in a yellow shirt at Vicarage Road. I really do believe that. It just makes total sense, I think, for all parties. Let's have a little look at the comments. We've got a comment saying, I reckon he'll sign a 5-year deal with 35k a week. Okay, it's rumoured about that. Maybe move to Man U or in 2 or 3 years. It's easier to leave us than bigger clubs, as we're happy to see players progress. We've got George, who also says the wages offered from Udinese is much more than what he receives now at Newcastle, but the takeover prospect at Newcastle may come into his decision. Very good point, George, and that's the other scenario. So we've got a short-term contract extension to the end of the season, then he moves on. He moves on at June the 30th to Udinese or another club. He joins Udinese, then moves to Watford. Or the fourth one is that he signs a new long-term deal at Newcastle. They have put an offer on the table, not as much as Udinese, I have to note. But it very much depends with the rumoured takeover at Newcastle United. That'll be one to watch, whether that does go through, because there's been a lot of talk surrounding the surrounding the takeover, but the kind of legitimacy of it, because there's a lot of issues with the owners in terms of human rights, etc. There's a lot to do with that. Whether that goes through, we'll have to wait and see, but certainly that's one to watch as well. Rudy says, I think it depends if we go down or stay up, and that's another factor. I mean, we've got 5 factors there, really. And the last one is which league Watford are in next season. Because if Watford don't stay up, I think it'll be very hard to attract a player of Longstaff's calibre. How young he is, he's got Premier League experience, he's English. It's difficult to attract players if we do get relegated to the Championship. So it's a great point by Rudy. So there's a lot of factors, but I will say on camera, and I will say it on record, that I do believe if he signs for Udinese, he will definitely be joining Watford. I do believe that is the case, but there's so many mitigating factors surrounding the deal that could potentially affect it. Jezza007 said he nailed on he's coming to us. Homegrown status will be crucial as the squad status changed on homegrown players after Brexit happened. So another factor there from Jezza, but I do believe that if he does join Udinese, it will be pretty much nailed on that he'll be coming to Watford. So that's my take on it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. There's a lot more detail on articles, but that's kind of the outline. So we'll just recap kind of five things that could happen with this deal. The short-term extension at Newcastle on June the 30th to the end of the season. We've got he signs for Udinese or another club. Well, he signs for another club. He signs for Udinese, stays at Udinese, but I do believe if he signs for Udinese, he will be joining Watford. I think it's pretty much nailed on. I do believe that, and I'd be very surprised if I'm proven wrong. And the fifth is, will the Newcastle takeover go through? If it does, then they can offer him more money. They can offer him a bigger contract. And ultimately, he'd sign a long-term contract at Newcastle United. So there's a lot of mitigating factors. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. I really do appreciate you getting involved in the comments and engaging with the content. We've got more live streams. If you do like the live streams, then let me know, and I'm happy to do more of them. We've got one planned with the Watford left back, currently on loan at Osasuna, Pervis Esputinan, I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, not the best pronunciation, but that's another one to watch. The left back situation. There's going to be a lot happening with Watford this summer. And obviously with the Premier League returning very, very soon, the 20th, the 12:30 kickoff against Leicester, that's one that we will need to watch as well. And the football's going to be coming thick and fast pretty much. I mean, the first week back, we've got 3 games. We've got Leicester, Burnley, and then Southampton. So a real packed week from the 20th onwards, and just the rest of the Premier League season. But if you did enjoy the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up in the like rating below. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel. Check out our recent podcast with Jonathan Bond, Tommy Smith, and Jayden Merritt. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content. We'll be back for more live streams soon. Thank you very much for watching.